Libyan rebels are in control of almost all of Tripoli this morning, but the hunt for Muammar Gaddafi continues. Opposition forces have set up checkpoints throughout the capital city. Some fighters loyal to Gaddafi are holding down pockets of resistance. Rebel leaders warn that as long as the dictator is at large, Tripoli is still in danger. President Obama, on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, spoke publicly for the first time since the rebels entered Tripoli.
This much is clear. The Gaddafi regime is coming to an end, and the future of Libya is in the hands of its people.
Meanwhile, NATO is vowing to keep up its airstrikes until all pro-Gaddafi forces surrender. In the past 2 days, coalition aircraft have hit 40 targets in and around Tripoli. For more this morning, CBS News military analyst Mike Lyons joining us now to talk more about this. Mike, morning to you.
Good morning, Charlie.
Everyone seems to be calling this just short of a victory. This isn't over yet, is it?
It surely isn't over yet. It's it's great to celebrate, and I think the Libyan people have a lot to be proud of, but there's much tough sledding really to go. Right now, for example, from the military's perspective, lockdown is going to be important. You got to figure there was a brigade size worth of vehicles and material there in Tripoli protecting that place. If these rebels don't get their arms around those tanks and that equipment very quickly, that could get out to the outlying areas and cause a counterattack to come back onto them.
Well, speaking of counterattacks, let's talk about that. How big of a concern is that now?
Extreme concern, and I think the rebels have got to continue to push the fight here. I mean, it's the hardest part when you're performing offensive operations to keep going. Don't let the enemy come back and take the momentum back from you. Right now, for example, we see that his compound has still been holed up and well protected. They've got to take the momentum, keep going forward, and take the fight to the enemy.
We're in Tripoli now. We've watched these rebel forces march through. You said just a minute ago this isn't over yet. What will it take to finish it?
Yeah, some concession from Gaddafi would be one thing. If we don't get that, that's going to be a problem. It's going to take days, weeks, and months likely of the rebels in control, showing they have control, and establishing security. If the Libyan people feel that the rebels, that the council is in control of Libya, then they'll become the de facto government.
The Pentagon in July, at the end of July, said that Libya cost the U.S. $896 million. Can the U.S. and NATO afford to keep helping the rebels with this kind of price tag?
Well, it's been worth it so far. The question is going forward, what's NATO going to do? I think NATO's out of money. I'm not so sure they're going to be willing to step forward and put troops on the ground there or take that kind of control. I think NATO's going to say, we did our job at this point in time. Someone else is going to have to come in and put more troops on the ground if that's going to be a requirement from the Libyan people.
So that's the situation now. The Gaddafi regime on the brink of collapse. There is no replacement government in place. There is no security in place right now in Libya. What happens next?
Yeah, one or two things happen. We have a situation where the Libyan people decide they're going to reconcile with each other and want this security and want this democracy they're going to have, or the worst possible case is a civil war breaks out against the tribal factions that are there, and Libya continues to fall backwards and further behind. So, the situation still is not close to being resolved. There's no victory that can be claimed. They have freedom right now. Now they've got to bring responsibility behind it.
Now we've got to see what happens next here, and this is the big question. What fills that vacuum, or what fills the space of the Gaddafi regime? Do we have to worry about radical Islam? What about terrorism groups?
Yeah, I think the challenge we're going to have there is there's not even political parties that are there. Like, the entire structure has to be set up from the very beginning. So if Islam or radical groups come in, I think that the rebel forces in particular are going to recognize them as a threat, and they're going to have to deal with them and the time comes.
What do you think Gaddafi is hiding out?
He could have done a lot of things. He could have, he's an older gentleman. He could have, stopped dyeing his hair, grow a beard, and easily melt into civilian society just like other people have done. He might not even be there. He could be long gone.
And is it only a matter of time, you think, before he is found?
Yeah, that remains to be seen. Again, as long as his sons continue to progress and show that they're legitimate leaders right now, or trying to be legitimate leaders, I think it's a problem for the rebels.
CBS News military analyst Mike Lyons. Mike, appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks, Terrell.